Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is the year 2024 on the ancient civic calendar and the ancient moon calendar. It is 2025 on the ancient sun calendar. It is 10,066 on the ancient Yoruba calendar. It's 5785 on the ancient Hebrew Israelite calendar, and it is trillions and trillions and trillions and billions and trillions of years on the ancient Moorish calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in alignment and accordance with the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court Action. We are the sovereign living justices and ego sum Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is like Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminutio nolo in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capite et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal living natural head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Shemites, Israelites, Cushites, and Hittites, our full faith and trust. Our allegiance, our honor, and our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign ancient empire state for Morocco, which is the Moroccan Empire. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earth-wide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today, we are the law, and we are the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign, ancient, Article 3 living United States District for Columbia Court. We are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, divine ministers, possessors, and we'll have to change this. We'll give an explanation of that in an upcoming Congress. Divine ministers, possessors, grantors, grantors, and title trustors for all causes for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war, and we will not be going to war. We demonstrate all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, non-proton. So we have one quick question before we begin moving through our Congress. Have those, and this is a question for this Holy Congress, have those previously acting as presidents been telling the truth about what they really are? That is a question, and we'll go ahead and put the meeting in the mode so that you can star 6. Islam, Empress Angel and Empress Gloria. Have they been telling the truth about what they really are?
There was a clip that was shared that I seen, and it was the actor Trump, and he had stated how he used the word acting. He said the actors in this regard and the actors in that regard, and the acting news and the acting fraud and the actors, and he said it was his mission to remove all of the actors out of District of Columbia.
Really?
And yeah. And he said that federal land management is going to be moving somewhere out Midwest, somewhere, and but all agencies are moving from the 10 square miles, thus dismantling a corporate fiction of the corporate democracy.
He is such a good subject. He's such a good subject. He does exactly as commanded. Remember when we said that the Treasury was in Utah, Ogden, Utah, not D.C. It's Utah. That's where the original Treasury is. And then we stated that the acting needs to stop and shut down. And we didn't just say it though, and that's the important part about this Congress. We didn't just say, "Hey, get out of there because we're the Moors and we're awake." We didn't just say it, because you can say that all day, but if that stuff didn't stop flowing, the fakery and the fiat, if that didn't stop flowing, they were going to keep going. So we had to stop that from happening. And when we stopped that from happening, just like this boot button where we can just stop them from talking like that, it takes more than just standing up, stomping your feet, saying we're Moors, we're the heirs. No. We there are responsibilities that we have. There is action, like our Prophet Noble Ali stated. He said, "Active Moors, not passive." Passive is like saying we're Moors, we're Moors, and not doing the proper processes to get that. Because see, there were processes that got that started. All that acting and stuff, there were processes that had to happen for that to even get started. 1871. And it couldn't happen unless we said, "Okay, now y'all start acting." And then we were the only ones, because see, all this going around everywhere and warring and all that, it wasn't going to stop until we actually knew the processes and did them. And it wasn't just one process. It wasn't just liens. Because, see, you can't take away something and leave a space there. You got to put something in its place. Something real, something viable, something true. So we did the processes and took the time to do the processes, because, see, some didn't want to take the time to do the processes. But we took the time to do them. This Congress did.
That's similar to your pre-conveyance that didn't happen?
Who are out there, the many
similar, I think.
who are
I think it's very.
And the many Moors who are out there doing the work, because you can go to a fake court and tell the fake, and I'm not suggesting go there. In fact, we're going to tell you exactly why not to go there. But you must properly rebut. You can't just not show up. You actually have to be the court. We had to be the Treasury, because there's no Treasury but us.
You commanded Mercedes up Tacoma, and it didn't work.
We must know the processes and then activate them and put them in works, in the play. So, with that being stated, just one moment. Let me see which. It's going.
Your shit doesn't work, Pauline. Otherwise, you'd have that Range Rover.
Oh, we just love it. We love it. We love it. So the answer to that question, just like Empress Angel was stating, and Empress Gloria, did we hear from you?
Yes, you did.
Okay. We will to ensure, because sometimes, and let me just make this statement really quickly, sometimes during Congress, we'll say, oh, Empress so-and-so, and then Empress, some so-and-so, or Noble so-and-so, and then Empress so-and-so. And then we get so caught up in the conversation that we don't hear from the one who's coming after. And that is not done on purpose. It's so if that happens, and you will make a statement, just Islam, and make the statement. So, because this is Congress, we must commune together. And we will to hear from everyone. So, with that being stated, they've always told us who they really were. Always. All we had to do was pay attention.
Islam and Empress, this is Gloria.
Yes,
I'd just like to also state that a lot of stuff that Donald Trump is trying to convey to us and the others it's in code. It's coded. It's not necessarily direct. Islam, I yield.
He that hath an ear, let him hear. He that hath an eye, let him see. Sleeping ones can't even decode regular statements, not to mention, And here's the thing. Those who, and I won't say participate in, but there's something called inoculation. Inoculation. That's something they put in your arm or whatever. Inoculation, the ocular muscle is the eye muscle. So where things that people put in your arm, shots and things, they call it inoculation. That was an issue. It was an issue. And see, most of us, had we not had inoculations when we were little, because see, we don't have them now. We don't take them. We don't, because we didn't invent that. I mean, we didn't put that together. So we say no. We don't have to have them at all now, particularly. But with that being stated, people have to see Islam.
I just shared an image that Noble Earl shared on a day ago, and it was talking about the very thing you just mentioned, inoculations for the heirs upon arrival, and some even during gestation. And you see, 1986, there was like maybe 7 or 5 of them. And then 2024, there's like over 30.
Yeah. Fortunately for us, we're not even in that jurisdiction, so we don't have to worry about it. All we do is state where we really are, but come out of her. That's what we say.
You're fucking delusional. Delusional.
Yeah.
Come out of a false mother, because a real mother would not will that her children be inoculated in that manner.
Yeah, and then Empress mentioned that how it affects your first eye, which is your pineal gland, and because that's the first frontal lobe that starts to develop, and if you did give those to your heirs, and how the effects would be over time, and so it can be undone, as Noble Dawood stated. He said that when you do get that, you can speak to the energy of the nature of life, whether it be the weather or whatever, which is the same power you have to speak to your body to remove the things that, will not have in your body anymore. So we always have remedy. for anything that has happened over time before we came awake. That's the point, you know. But for those who, you know, like myself and others, we will for not even to take place.
Islam.
You fucking the kids up for good, yo. You fucking them up. They're getting fucked up. If they believe this, it's never gonna work.
Empress Shasha. We will leave it open. The meeting is open for her to come back. And so with that being stated, they did say who they were. We just had to have eyes to see and ears to hear. When they said, "Oh, here comes the beast," they were talking about the ones in the car, not the car, the ones in it. And then Revelation 13:1 says, "And I saw a beast rise out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems," which are crowns, "on its horns, and blasphemous names," that's nom de guerres, "on its head." Nom de guerres on its head, war names on its head, coming to war, or not coming to war, but attempting to war. And so Empress Shasha
Islam. From Jamaica.
Islam.
Okay, there you go.
I'm here. I'm
Okay,
still on. Okay.
Yes, we're waiting.
Islam.
We will be here.
Okay, wonderful. I was actually just asking, could you unlock for Empress Nana?
Yes, we can. We can do that. Islam.
Thank you so much. All right, Islam.
So they were not hiding that they were that they were
Islam, I am so stupid from Jamaica.
They were telling us the whole time. All we had to do was pay attention and just listen. They know who they are.
Pauline shit doesn't work.
So with that being stated, well,
with that being stated, you're
very natural for us. It's very natural. Is Empress Nana, has she made it in to Congress?
Illusions are very natural for you.
Retailers are still taking $100 bills.
So wealth is so natural for us that a debt world was the only place.
I used the $100 bill this week, Pauline. What the fuck?
Where we could enact poverty. A debt world was the only place where we could enact being poor. Wealth is so natural for us that the only place anyone would even believe that would be that we were poor, or that we,
a bunch of po Negroes.
And
you're all
we
poor.
couldn't do this and couldn't do that. There had to be an upside down turning of the quote unquote world in order for anyone to buy that story, because everyone knows that wealth is natural for us.
Bullshit, bullshit, Pauline, you're full.
Just a moment. Let's clear up the hate. We're doing love in here, not hate. Wealth, prosperity, and abundance is who we are. Abundance is on us, in us, and will never leave us. This is how natural wealth is for us. It is known everywhere. It is known everywhere that there is nothing on this planet in terms of even gold and silver and wealth that you cannot get elsewhere in the universe. So we could go other places in the universe and get gold and silver and things like that and all the elements. The only beings and elements and naturalness that you cannot get anywhere else in the universe is us, our bloodline. The living, ancient, original, indigenous ones. Our being, our life, our breath, our temples, our bodies, our thoughts, who we are, our specific extraterrestrial bloodline is the one thing that you cannot get anywhere else in the universe due to the conditions here at Earth and the time that we have been here. Now, there are different variations of us elsewhere in the universe, of course, but there are none exactly like us anywhere. Additionally, we have the most advanced genetics in existence. Know that. Yes, it's about gold and silver and sound money, but it's really about us. You cannot find us anywhere else in the universe. Our brothers and sisters that are at other places, other celestial bodies and things, they don't look like us. Some of them do, but there's different variations in their blood and how their blood operates and how their bodies operate and their communications and their thoughts and consciousness based on the environment that they are indigenous to. So there's no one else exactly like us anywhere in the universe. And guess what? Everyone on the planet knows that. All others know that. Even the animals know that. Everyone knows that. So let's just keep our priorities clear about what this is really about. Wealth is natural, very natural for us because we are wealth. One hair on our head is worth more than the whole earth. One hair on our head. Because you can't find it anywhere else. It's that rare. And see, what gives any element or anything value is how rare is it. If it's everywhere, then it's probably not going to be rare. But the rarity comes because of our uniqueness and our ancientness. We've been here, and listen, when we come back 1,000,000 years from now, this bloodline is still going to be here. We're just going to look a little bit different, but not much. And the bloodline is still going to be original, indigenous, ancient, and all of that. So, a lot of times they talk about us coming and going from different planets, coming here to see, the watchers, to see what's going on. And whenever we leave and go away for 1,000,000 years or so, and then we come back and we see us still here, it is what it is. Mother will birth us, and when we wake up and realize who we are, we're like, okay, we're still here. These are all my brothers and sisters. We're still here. Okay, it's all good. It's good. All is well. So let us keep all of that in mind, because anyone who looks at us, who sees us, no matter how far back you look, we're there. No matter how far in the future you look, we're there. No matter where you look in the present, we're here. Knowing who we are. So that is our priority. Our knowledge priority is to know that no vaccine could have ever taken us out, ever. No medicine, no virus, no bacteria, no war, none of that. Because see, sometimes people look at the moon and they say, okay, we were up there, we had a war, and that's why the moon looks so desolate. Not even desolate, it's more of us there. And more pyramids there, and that's how we know each other. Is the pyramid is one of our signs that even though we may be looking at the red planet, or we may be looking at the planet with the ring around it, you're still going to see some pyramids. And then the beings that make them may look different. They may look the same. They may look different. But it's still going to be us. So make no mistake about it. We're the rare earth minerals. We are the value. We are the wealth, Islam. And that is going to manifest even more so in each one of our lives as we continue to grow and know and be ourselves. That's why it's so important for us to be ourselves. Because then everyone they'll point and be like, yeah, that's one of the rare earth minerals right there. Calling us men for short. That's one of the rare earth minerals right there. Or L's for short, one of the rare earth elements, Islam. So with that being stated, we do recognize the times and the seasons and what must be done for our continued growth and prosperity. And what we're doing is continuing to establish our ancient cultures. Our ancient cultures were so much fun. They were so prosperous and abundant that it was just amazing. And we're now that the enactment of poverty and all of that is done, I'm just grateful that it is. I'm grateful that we had the experience. I'm grateful that that experience is no more. So we are celebrating December 21st coming up. This is a very important day because anciently this day is the celebration of the renewal and return of the light that follows the warm, cozy, abundant, restful darkness of the womb of winter. So winter is like a womb. It is the time where we cozy up and rest and celebrate the abundance of the harvest season, which comes before the winter. Winter is the time that follows the harvest celebration with the abundance of crops and the fresh autumn breezes. December 21st is the time when the sun and the moon renew their agreement to light the sky at the appointed time. On this day of December 21st, they share the sky for 12 hours each, and then the sun begins his ascent to light our way longer. This is also an announcement of the fulfillment of the promise that warmth of the sunlight will always return after the beautiful white snow of winter. We celebrate this beautiful triune agreement between the sun, the moon, and us. So the winter solstice, that is the time where we celebrate that the sun has come again to warm the earth. It begins its ascent back up to higher heights in the atmosphere. So we celebrate at that time. It's up to us how we celebrate that, but over time, and we stated this previously, over time, I would love for this Congress to continue establishing how we celebrate things. What I've been seeing in terms of the celebration is that the red and green around this time of year is appropriate, but that it lasts from December the 21st through March 21st. So we would keep our red and green, elements and decorations and things up, and that's however we choose to decorate from December 21st to March 21st, which is our new year, because then that'll be the celebration of the new year. And during that time period, and this is the part I absolutely love, and I know it's divine timing, is that we will have our red and green decorations, whatever that looks like. We will have them up during Prophet Noble Drew Ali's born day, and also, and it's not a coincidence that our Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey's born day is February 14th. So, we'll have them up. We celebrate January, we celebrate February, and then our New Year in March. So we would like to propose that we put up decorations and find ways to celebrate during this time period from December 21st to March 21st. Let it be an entire time of just celebration of who we are, of our great return. We know January 1st was also the rise of the Red House. At one point, we're saying it was the fall of the Red House, but we're the Red House, and we have risen. So what say you, Congress, about December, January, February, a 90-day celebration, really, is what it would be. 90 days of just finding ways to celebrate with red and green everywhere. You can start 6.
Islam.
I
love it.
Alive and well. Fiat is alive.
Islam.
I love the idea, and because right now I am in celebration, and if I don't cry, but now this time is so exciting to me. Every time I drive down the street, I am in celebration.
Yes.
And I get so excited, and I wonder if, when people look over at my vehicle and see me celebrating, what are their thoughts, right? Because, and I'm quite sure they see the energy. The energy is there. And I get so excited because of the freedom, liberty, and knowing that my ancestors are with me no matter where I go.
Bunch of delusional bitches is what you are.
They are there.
Yes.
And we often are in conversation, and we talk back and forth to each other. So yes, the celebration, I think a 90-day is in order. As a matter of fact, Rod Hayes spoke of President Trump elect have already stated that the year 2025 is going to be a year of celebration for us. So yes, I'm in harmony.
We will call him subject in the office of president, if you don't mind, Empress.
Yes.
But yes, we feel the energy, yes.
Correct. Thank you for correcting me. So yes, because sometimes we get so involved in what we're saying that we kind of forget to make the statement correct. And so yes, thank you so much for correcting me. He is the subject in the office of. So, but it was already stated.
Yeah.
I don't remember when he actually said it, but I think it was when he was supposedly in office the first time. And it was stated then that the year 2025 was going to be a year of celebration for us. Yeah. Islam, I yield.
He's merely repeating what we have already stated. Go back and listen to the Congresses. We talked about that beforehand. So the reason why it's so important also, and thank you for that, Empress, and thank you for your energy, Empress Imani. It's just so, we have kindred energy, and we all do. We have that kindred energy. I will say that we stated previously that it's extremely important that they all be referred to as subjects in the office of, because as we look at the other actors who were previously acting,
delusional energy, delusion,
previously acting as sheikhs and acting as heads of state, such as Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and other places. As we continue watching how everything is aligning with what we stated, we can see, and they're starting to make it clear, that for example, I'll just use the Saudi Arabians, for example. The Saudi Arabians have the de jure government over the corporate thing, because they have a corporate and a de jure. And the corporate is the son of the de jure, who was the king in their enactment. And it's starting to, the real ones are starting to manifest. We're starting to see their faces, and of course their faces look a lot like us, those who are starting to manifest. Not the ones that we saw from the previous era, but when you look at the structure, because that's what we're speaking about, the structure of government in working together with the company portion of government. All they did was they said, okay, we're a family, a kinship, a clan, a tribe. We're the de jure. And then they hired their own kin, sons, nephews, and nieces to be over the corporate part. So they did not allow any foreigners to be over what would be called the United States in their country. So they have something similar to a United States that brings, building the new cars and puts everything in capital letters and starts doing all these capitalistic things. Capitalism was supposed to improve the lives of those who are de jure by, doing things, upgrading things and making things manifest according to what our desire was and is and will be. So that was the point of capitalism. It was to, okay, we like the new Cadillacs and the new Mercedes Scudarcy and the new this and that. So let the companies build all of that, let them put all of that together, and then we will dip into the United States and pull whatever it is that we will, and then everybody else can live well too. Those who are building it, those who are citizens, those who haven't awakened yet, everyone else will have a better way of life, but they have to know who they are if they're going to supersede any of that and have it at will. And we're watching as they continue to manifest for us how it was really supposed to work. Because there's duality in it. There's a way not to do it, which is what we were seeing in the previous enactment, and then there's a way to do it. So that everyone lives so that everyone lives better. So what we will to do is continue standing and growing. Now, I will say this about that whole United States piece, because we're the creditor, United States. We created our own hand and our own writing, creditor, United States for America. And then there's the debtor, Islam nobility. There's the debtor. And so those debtors made it so that anyone that was operating in that little world of United States of America, or U.S. that anyone operating in that little circle would only use debt notes, because it's a debt. It was a debt instrument. It was a whole debt setup. And anyone outside of that could use their national currency. They could use gold and silver. They could use whatever they will to use. And that's what the rest of the world was doing. The rest of the earth was doing that. So the rest of the earth never went off of gold and silver. They never did. Or their national currency, whatever they agreed to do business at. It was only in that little bubble that Federal Reserve debt notes and things were being used. Meanwhile, we were made to believe that that everybody else was using it too, and they were not. But that was where, again, monitoring media and making sure that only certain media got in and only certain information got in to make everyone believe that wherever they go, that they're using Federal Reserve debt notes when that was not the case. It was not the case. So now that we have awakened and we know who we are and all is well, we've done so peacefully without tearing up the whole earth, because that was, somewhere a little bit, because they know how powerful we are. And they know when we get mad, it can be a mess. But we woke up peacefully, and peace was really important in order for us to elevate to the next levels without tearing everything up. It's our estate. Why would we tear it up? So now that we know who we are and we're awake and all, then those who have always been using gold and silver are starting to manifest, and they are willing to accept whatever we create as our national currency, which we've already created, moorishe sovereign dollarium as national currency. Yeah, just as Yahya said, we may have caused a few hurricanes and tornadoes and floods and yes, all of that, tsunamis and all of that. We did a little bit of all of that. But we're awake, and for that we're grateful. So with that being stated,
Islam.
I
just wanted to make a quick reference to what you just stated about capitalism, and the fact that that's the previous enactment, that was their system. Now it makes sense why all of our names were capitalized.
Yes.
It was capitalism.
Yes.
Islam ideals.
Yes. And that's why they were occupying in their enactment, occupying Capitol buildings, because that was to show everybody else that who's doing the capitalism. You see, so with that being stated,
this is delusionalism.
The rest of the earth has been waiting for us to wake up so that they could share, so that we could all do commerce together lawfully and peacefully. But I did notice that at other territories, particularly in the Middle East, and what they were calling the Middle East, because in reality this is the Middle East, and we showed you that previously about the middle latitudes, and this land is standing right in the middle of the middle latitudes, earth-wide, so that's why this is called the Middle East, because it's standing east and in the middle of those middle latitudes. And to the east, not the west. We showed you the middle latitudes, but if you will to do the study on that, just Google the middle latitudes, and it's going to show you North America right in the middle of those latitudes. And to the east, not the west, of the other continent. So with that being stated, there has always been a shadow, and I can't call it a shadow. There's always been a part of the system that had to remain with gold and silver, 40% gold and silver, anywhere between 40 and 60%, if not more, gold and silver. We were just not shown that, okay? And the reason we weren't shown that was...
Why are you it was supposed to be you there, Pauline?
Blah, blah, blah. Wow. Wow. We didn't understand any of that.
You just keep rehashing the same lie.
So we just one moment.
Delarium is rejected, Earth rejected, Delarium is rejected, Earth wide, and always will be.
So there were some who were waiting for us to just create our own systems and just state them, really, because our systems never went anywhere. They've always been here. And so
it
all
didn't
we
work
will
at Mercedes of Tacoma, did it, bitch?
All we will to do was continue standing, continue putting things on the public record, and we're going to continue doing that even now. So where gold and silver and more sovereign Delarium.
How can you keep lying to these people always, like this, Pauline?
The rest of the earth was waiting for us to do that. Now that we've done it, then everything is already in place for us to begin doing commerce with others. They were waiting for us. So that being stated, concerning our court, because that was a huge part. Those who have gold and silver and their national currencies ready to continue doing business and things, they were not willing to go into a fake court because it's against the law. So they said, until the Moors get their courts going, we're just not going to, we can't trade with them. We can't until they get their own courts going. And here's why. For some, because we can point to the Holy Quran as well. And it says here, concerning our courts, the Biblios, and this is the ancient Biblios, the one that we wrote, states that we should not go to unrighteous, incompetent, quote-unquote, courts. 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, verses 1 through 6, states clearly, it says, dare any of us. That means, how dare we, having a matter against another, go to law before the unrighteous and not before the Moors? Do you not know that we will judge the world? And we've already started that. We've already done it, really. And if the world will be judged by us, are we competent to judge the smallest matters? Yes, we are competent. Do you not know that we shall judge angels? That means Moors that are not awake yet. They remain at the angelic realm until they know that they are God. It says, how much more things that pertain to this life? That means the affairs of men. If then ye have judgments concerning things pertaining to this life, do you appoint those who are least knowledgeable by the law to judge, or least qualified? It says, I say this to your glorification. This is truth, that there are many wise justices among you, every one, who will be able to judge between the brethren. But brother shall never go to the unrighteous against his own brother, because that would then be witnessed by unbelievers. That means that people who don't even know who you are, and you're in a fake court stating the Constitution and things of that nature without actually doing the court action yourself. Because that's what has to happen for the court to be a righteous court. So for those who, because there are some Moors who say that they're Christians, we're not going to argue with you about that. You are who you state that you are. Just know this part right here, that you must be the court. And that when we have matters going on, because that time is coming, and when we say matters, we just mean we've agreed to do commerce with one another peacefully.
You'll never be a real court. Never, never, never.
We can never take that to a fake court, ever. Never. Because a fake court is not competent to rule. You might as well take it to a first grade class and tell the children, okay, rule on this, and then you actually live by what they say when they don't even know how to do algebra. So are we clear? Are we clear on the court piece? Because, some come and say, I'm a Christian, I'm not Islamic. Okay, what? Just read your Bible. Where you been going? Where have you been going? When you have issues, what's going on? Because that means you're going to have to come to the right court. Come to the right court. Come to the right court, or be the court.
Islam.
I
have a question. So even though, I have that understanding, that we are the court,
mm-hmm.
it's a matter of dealing with those who are us but not awake.
Mm-hmm.
And there is what we might call a court matter. So do we call them to court? How do we handle them in that respect?
So I'll say this about our kin and those around us. We should be able to come to some agreement before it gets to be a court matter, by way of competent communication skills and so on and so forth. But when it comes to property, then we must issue the ruling on the property. And this is what we've had to do. We had to do it ourselves. I'll just use our what we did as a matter of principle. I have kin who were previously military, and they're not necessarily supportive of what we're doing, but they can't really full-fledged go out and say it's not what it is, because we're proving that it is what it is. But we were asked to go on to what they thought was a military base, but we call it a common access area, and we were willing to do that for them because we love them. but we were still going to be ourselves, and they had a problem with us having our Moorish driver's license. And sure enough, when we got to the gate, because see, really we're the gate. There is no gate but the Moors. Gate means government. When we got to the gate, this happened twice. I was in the driver's seat and I showed my Moorish driver's license. There was and there was someone there who wanted to challenge that. And I had the ones in the kinship line saying, why didn't you just bring this ID or that ID? Sorry, no, not sorry, and not going to do that. Twice it happened, and both times, even the ones who wanted to fight about that, who wanted to make a big deal about it on both sides, in both the ears, they had to escort us on and let us go and handle our business twice. Because when it comes to it, when the matters come to the real, when the rubber meets the road, number one, we have to be ourselves. Number two, the ancestors are always with us because we are our ancestors returned. And number three, whoever it is, we're on the public record notifying everybody of who we are. So that's why we state, if there is a matter, see what we don't do. I was not willing to go to war with my kin about who I am. I was asked to assist, so I assisted. But I'm going to assist and be myself. I'm not going to do that and be somebody else. So I'm not going to war with them about my driver's license. I'm not. My driver's license is what it is. And they saw it twice. That, yes, this works. The process of resolving a dispute outside of our court system, because really there's nothing outside of our court system, is what we do is we go to the top and we start doing things up at the top so that by the time it gets to the people around us, it's already decided. I didn't have to fight with the people at the gate about the driver's license because everything was on the public record and we knew what we were doing. They wanted to war about it, but they couldn't. Why? Because we had already notified the head subject in the office of what these driver's licenses and things are all about. So all the head subject did was ask them, well, does the driver's license have an address on it? Does it have a photo? And does it have a signature? Does it have an expiration date? Well, it had a renewal date. Can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that. But see, we did the study. And so Moors, listen, the gatekeepers, we operate far above anything that they know. That's why we speak to the system and let the system do what systems do. And because see, gatekeepers, they're called gatekeepers not because they own the gate. It's because they keep it. And when I say keep, I mean keep means to watch. But they're watching according to codes. Okay? They're watching according to what the system says. And so sometimes we have to take the time to educate them, which we did. We were willing to do it. Because that's not even a real military if they're not doing what we say. That means they're unlawful occupiers. But they did what they were supposed to do, which is open the gate. See, in the Biblios, it states that anybody coming in through the back or through the window is a thief and a robber. But when you come through the front door, that is how you know who's the Lord of the place. So we're not trying to, we're going straight in the front. But you can do that when you know systems. And we know, this Congress knows systems. So then we just restate everything and let the system do what systems do, which is system.
Islam.
Islam.
I have one other quick question before you kind of deviate from that question or thought. What about heirlooms, and then how, because you know how families are about heirlooms.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has written something in the will, but somebody else got it. And they jumped ahead, you know, and the person's still here, but not able to. You know what I'm saying? So,
I do.
So how do we kind of rectify, or what's the remedy in that respect?
The remedy is the following. Number one, be at peace with wherever that heirloom is right now. Because, see, we've had that issue too. We had to not go to war with them about it because we got bigger fish to fry with them. They're going to need us, and we have to keep the doors open so they'll come to us when it's time for them to come. So we don't throw around our liens and our levies and our bonds on our kin. We don't throw it around like that because we got a whole nation that we're talking about. This is for all the marbles, not just one. So the way that we were inspired to handle that particular situation, our ancestors can rectify the situation way better than we can. And when I say our ancestors, we are our ancestors' return, but there's a spiritual process. We don't go to war with our families, our kin, ever. Don't ever go to war with them, because anything they have, they will surrender it when you do it the right way. And that was the outcome of my situation. The ancestors said to me, let that go. Let that piece of that, it was a ring. They said, let the ring go. Let whoever has it, let them keep it. And I let it go. And 1 year later, they brought it to me and said, here, this, you have this. It was my mother's wedding ring.
Islam.
But they wanted me to let it go. See, Empress, what happened was they got to the house first, and they went through the stuff. And because I'm way here, I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm 3,000 miles away. I couldn't get there. The ancestors said everything that they took, just let it go. Like you let that go. Because see, if it's upsetting me, then it had a hold on me. The thing did, not them. I love my kin. They did probably what I would have done. Is if you get there and you get the rings, hold them. So I wasn't mad at them. But something in me wanted to say, if only I could have been there. The ancestors said, don't worry about that. And when I let it go, the ancestors gave me a whole year to truly just take a deep breath, let it go, and be about my mother's business. Mm-hmm. They came and said, here, you can have this. I just cried. I cried.
That's where I am right now.
Let it go. Don't get involved. Let it go.
And that's exactly where I am. Letting it go.
Yes.
Even though, you know, my parents are still here, you know, but to let it go, because like you said, we have bigger fish to fry. We have so much more. And then on top of that, look at our vast estate. So you want to what now? So I know that it probably has meaning to us and all of that, but still, let it go.
Yeah.
And like you said, so who knows? She may even bring it back to say, "Here, this is yours." You never know.
I had no expectation of that. I had no expectation that would happen.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I am.
Shocked me. Like I was like.
Yeah.
But I should have known the ancestors. I should have known them.
Right. So if it doesn't come back, I mean, it's still okay.
It's okay. It's still in the kinship line. It's still there.
And that's what I had to look at. It's still there.
Let it stay where it is until your heart is not so attached to it that you'd be willing to go to war with them. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that for everyone.
Yes, Islam.
Our hearts cannot be attached to things so much that we're willing to go to war with our kin who may not be fully awake yet. It can't be about things. It can't be about war. It can't be about that. It has to be about truth and love and honor and what is real. You know, in many of our families, there's even land out there somewhere. Now, we could easily slap liens, levies, bonds, and all of that and just do all of that. For some of us, it's time to do that. But for others of us, the ancestors are saying, just wait. Just wait. Just wait a minute. The land is not going anywhere. And it's not about, because see, that was why we, many of us and many of our kin and bloodline had to go to sleep. Because we was going back and forth with each other over stuff when all the stuff is ours. That's what the sleep piece was about. Is we cannot war with each other over things, and 9 times out of 10 it's something so small in comparison to the whole estate. Everything is small compared to the estate. So we just cannot war. And if it means leaving, letting something go in your heart, letting something go, just let it go. Even at the time where I was letting that energy go, the ancestors just kept allowing my mother's spirit to speak through me and to just, so that I knew that it's not about her things, it's about her. It's not about her things. It's about her. I didn't get my crown from her ring, even though that was a part of the, my father and her and all of that. Yes, that's all beautiful and all that, but my crown came from her. So, Moors, that's something that we are going to just, that's a part of you will know that you have risen to another level when you can let that stuff go and not go to war with them. And some of them will be expecting you to go to war with them, and you don't do it. Don't do it. Our ancestors will come upon them and tell them, you really should give that to them. You really don't need it. And when our ancestors speak, every fiber of the being is moved to do what they say. Because our ancestors, they have now you want to talk about spell casting and spell breaking? Let the spirit do it. And you won't have to. You won't have to. Let that stuff go. If there was any message that I would give to our whole nation about our kin, because see, they're coming. They're coming. Our kin are on their way to declaring their nationality and getting right on in with us and doing this. They're coming. Why? How do I know that? Because our subjects are doing what we tell them to do too. Our subjects are actually trying to warn everyone, hey, you need to be doing what they're doing, what the Congress is doing. Just start looking at it. They're coming quickly. I mean, many of us, most of us come from headstrong is what they used to call us. Headstrong, which is a great term if you ask me. Headstrong family. Everybody has a strong will. Everyone is strong-willed. I've had to, and this is the beauty of the Grand Rising, Moors. You'll get to a point. See, when we first wake up, we're pushing our will. We're learning how to use our will to accomplish things. We're using our will to overcome fear and things of that nature. There will come a time when you have so successfully governed your will, and that your will is so strong that when you have the opportunity, and it's really not an opportunity, it's a presentment. When a situation presents itself where you could literally just run straight over somebody to get what you want or will, you'll say no. That's okay. You go ahead and keep that, or you go ahead and no. I've had to do that too, where we told, ones who thought we were going to just run roughshod over them, and that's because they've known us since long before we woke up. We had a strong will even in our sleep, and they thought that we would run over them for something. We said, no, we honor your will. If your will is for it to be this way, then we will honor that. And that alone had them to take a step back and speak to us in a tone that was just honorable, an honorable tone. Honor is not automatic, it's earned. Just like respect, it's earned. And here's the thing, the meek shall inherit the earth. We already have. Moors, our thing is, and we've been told this, even in our sleep, they would say, oh, it's, your fear is probably not that you're inadequate, but that you're too powerful. That's what they would say. In our sleep, they would say, and I forget the precise words that they would say, but they would say, the fear is not that you will fail, it's that you will succeed, That's true. That's true. So with that being stated, yes, we have authority over all the property and everything because we know the processes. The ancestors will tell us when to do something about it. Because here's the thing, with some of our family land waived from back in the day, there were some pretending to tax and so on and so forth, all of that. That can't even get past our documentation and our paperwork and our courts and our money and our bloodline. So a lot of times, some of the time, about half the time, the ancestors are going to tell you to just stand back a moment on that issue and just they'll bring it back up when it's time for you to speak on it, to rule on it, to enter a verdict, a sentence on it. The ancestors will tell you when. Just listen. You'll know. And here's the thing, if you have a whole lot of emotion about something, stand back up from it until you can do it. Because, see, we're supposed to judge in an unbiased manner. Unbiased just means unemotional. And it's not without emotion. It's without emotion skewing the verdict, the sentence. Because we govern all. We have dominion over everything. Just know that. And everyone knows that about us. The subjects, listen, what you're about to see and hear from those subjects is going to be exactly what we've been stating over the last 5, 6, 7 years. They will say what we've stated on the record. See, those who were celebrating the subject in the office of president and that whole, they're starting to realize now what that really was, what it really is. They're starting to realize now what it really is, because see, some thought that it was just a taking over and a free-for-all. But that's not what that is for foreigners and for subjects, because see, we let the subjects have free reign for a while, seemingly, and now it's time to get things in order, and they already are, and then we're going to enjoy ourselves while maintaining our customs, because that's important. Enjoy ourselves while maintaining our customs and our usages and all that has to do with us. So, with that being stated, in the previous Congress, briefly, we were speaking about, I believe it was Justice Willie who was talking about going to the fake courts, and we were, having that discussion, which was a beautiful discussion. We will to place this on the public record so that it is clear that we're not just making this up when we state that we must be the court. There was some discussion in previous Congresses about fake courts, even like misspelling names and still trying to take people and put them in a cell and all of that. Well, a cell is a representation of the body. That's what a cell is. And so when someone if they're attempting to put you in a cell, that means they want you to be a part of a dead body. Okay? And that is not who we are. So there is a maxim. This is maxim 634, of which there are many. Maxims are based on natural law, and they are also biblical and based on the Holy Quran, the Circle 7 Holy Quran. This maxim, nil facit era nominis cum de corpore vel persona constat. A mistake in the name does not matter when the body or person is manifest. So they can call you Mickey Mouse if you keep showing up, and they can still take and put you in jail in the Mickey Mouse cell if you keep answering to Mickey Mouse. Now, a mistake in the name is that the name was written by someone who's not you. That's the mistake. And the name was written in dead English instead of in ancient English, which they look exactly the same. Pauline Ritchie in ancient English looks the same, depending on how we write it, then it looks the same as dead English. It looks similar to dead English. And it can be in black, blue, red, capital letters, green, purple, doesn't matter. It looks similar. So, but there will be no mistake because we're the ones who write the court actions. So a mistake made by a fake court calling you someone that you're not doesn't even matter if you keep going. If your body or your person is manifest, your person is the all caps name or any name. That's a person. So when body, person, and location are correct, because see, if the court is a real court, it's going to be located at a real place, a real location, not a two-letter state. It's going to be at a real location. So when those are correct, then name does matter and must be spelled and defined correctly. All letters, numbers, signs, sounds, sigils, vibrations, frequencies, missions, tracks, and all other are forever in our national language, to include all languages, all living languages. The letters that we use are Latin, French, Arabic, ancient, Roman, Phoenician, English, and that's ancient English because it's spelled differently. Sumerian, Carthaginian, extraterrestrial, terrestrial means earth, extra earthly, supernatural, and universal and intentional. So even though it may look like dead English, it's not dead English. We never spoke dead English. We can't speak dead English because we're not dead. We never were. We don't die. The creators for all life do not die. Are there any questions, comments, wisdom thus far?
Islam, Empress.
Islam, Justice.
Good to see you again. and I'm grateful once more, of gratitude for all this knowledge and wisdom you're bringing forth. I live for it. As I'm listening in regarding what you're stating about the courts, I'd just like to add, as I can recall last week, as I was speaking to Justice Willie, enough love and respect if you're listening. I still love you and all that. And if you can recall, I was telling the Virgin that he had a spiritual problem. And not the first I've told him. I've told him that before 2 times, and he declared that he doesn't. Now, I'm just going to say briefly, I'm going to explain because he probably still didn't figure it out yet. So I'm going to just, give him a little brief detail. I hope if he's not listening, I hope he can listen back to the recording. Now, it goes in conjunction with what you were saying just now about the courtroom. Now, the reason why I was telling the Virgin had a spiritual problem is because a courtroom is a spiritual place, and they deal with not much voodoo and all these sorceries take place in a courtroom, and people fail to understand that. The judge, he is the sorcerer. They're in that courtroom as simple as you see it. And what does he does? The court, whenever they want someone to come into court, they send out a summons. And they summon you to come to court, and then you go to court and you make an appearance. And people don't realize is that that courtroom as being one of those places with these spiritual people. For example, when you're dealing with the dead, right, and you want the dead to come forth, you summon them. And when the dead come forth, they appear. So this is what goes on in the courtroom with people that's not nationalized. They are still dead corpse. So as long as you're a dead corpse, the judge, as a sorcery, you will always have the power to summon you as the dead, and then you will always have to appear inside that court, and then you're under their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Right? So I won't say too much, go into that too deep, but that's just an example of what I was saying to the virgin. Why has a spiritual problem? It is that it's because the court is a spiritual place, and he needs to full stand that. And until he nationalizes from being a dead person to a live person, as in being a Moors, once he become alive, then he's not a dead person anymore, so they won't have the power to summon him, for him to appear into a courtroom anymore. That I yield, Empress. Thank you for the opportunity for speaking.
Islam nobility. Thank you so much for that clarification.
You're welcome.
You know, in the past, our connection to our ancient living foremothers and forefathers was turned off. That's what sleep is that connection is turned off. And in place of the connection is the programming. And so there are some who've gotten so used to the programming that to step outside of the programming causes them fear. And we've been there before. We know what that feels like. What we have to know is that the more we activate the connection that we have that never went away, it's never gone, it was just not active. The more we activate our ancient ancestral connection, and it's activated by writing affidavits and demonstrating them and mailing them out and delivering them. And that is how the ancient connection with us and our spirit and our ancient ancestral energies, that is how we reconnect with them. Not reconnect, but reactivate. That's why Prophet Noble Ali talked about active Moors, not passive, because he knew that all we had to do was cause that vibration. It starts speaking at a higher vibration, because that's really what we're doing. We write affidavits and speak the word and speak the law and do all of those things, do the court actions. Because see, what people don't realize is that even if you read the Bible, the Biblios or the Quran, it's always going to be talking about courts. Always going to be talking about courts. There was a time in the Biblios when Yeshua was only 12 years old, and his parents they were leaving, going to Jerusalem somewhere. He decided to stay in the court, because see, the Biblio says he was in court listening to the wise men. And eventually he started teaching in the court. And his parents had been gone a whole day before they realized that he wasn't with Auntie and them, he wasn't with the cousins, he wasn't with the friends, he was still back there. So they had to go back, and they said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I thought you all knew I was in court." That's what he said. It's about the law. It's about the law. Because we know we're the law must be must be emanating from our mouths at every turn. That's what they call it, at every turn. That's what attorney and attornor, every turn. We're speaking the law. And it wouldn't even make sense to you. See, the more you speak the law, it's not even going to make sense to you to go to a fake court. it just won't register in your it won't register in your mind to go to a fake court. Because you've been issuing court actions and verdicts yourself. And the more you do that, the less sense it will make to go somewhere where that's not even real. And that's the purpose of doing what we're doing. And that's the purpose of each and every one of us doing court actions in our documentation and when we speak. Asking questions. The one that is asking is as the king.
Islam.
And again, we don't just not show up somewhere. We must do court actions that state that why would we come there when we're the court? Islam nobilities. Justice Your Highest, Empress Shasha, and Empress Imani. But Justice Your Highest.
Yes, Justice Your Highest speaking. Grand rising to you all. I just want to piggyback or add to what you were just saying about asking.
Yes.
We have to demand it. I would say this is not more of an asking per se, but it's called 7 demands for discovery.
Mm-hmm.
We must go inside there. I wouldn't call them courts. I call it tribunals. We should definitely, before we get to how you want to say, or I should say before they try to get you to start to speak on, X, Y, and Z, there should be certain things that you as a national should be asking the court or demanding the court to produce before you even proceed. That may really help out with your situation, because they must, once you start asking or demanding, they must start to produce or answer, to what you're demanding and what you're asking before we can, proceed in on that manner. So that matter. So it's status is first. Second is jurisdiction, the venue, and the third thing you want to speak about is adjudication, or who has the judicial power. So, but even before the status, talk about the status, you would like, before even talking about status, you would want to demand, it's called 7 demands for discovery. It's very important before you even discuss status that you get the court to, but to produce certain things, and then you talk about, because you talk about status after you talk about who they are. So basically what happens is they try to get you to basically you is pointed at you, but you want to point it at them first and get their status first, because next is your status. But before we talk about my status of who I am, who are you? What power do you have? What address is this? Is this even a real? This is an imaginary place. Where am I at right now? So I think it's very important that before you talk about your status, the venue and the judicial power that you have, let's get them to produce who they are and who gave them delegation of authority, because I believe that that'll definitely help out a lot too inside those tribunal places. With that, I yield.
We affirm what you stated, Justice Your Highest. We absolutely affirm that. I will say this, since we've been awake, we've not seen a single valid delegation of authority from any of them. We've never seen them properly state who they are. We've never seen that. And we were asking and asking and asking. Those are great strategies, Justice Your Highest. there's another strategy also to add to that. We just go ahead and tell them who they really are, because they're going to lie, because they're liars, until you put them in subject status. But there have been Moors who have done that, who said, sent them a quo warranto and said, "Who are you?" And they never got an answer back, which is appropriate, because that means they're nobody. They don't have the authority.
Islam, Empress. I mean, I can comment a little bit on that.
Islam, Empress.
From the case I had, and they put a criminal, let's see, misdemeanor and a felony. Now, they did some trickery. This Dallas, Texas, they did some trickery. So they ended up having court, after all that I had done, discovery, et cetera, they, this particular subject in the office of judge sent me information, but she didn't state her nationality. She was European. I just want to add that. So and it was a lot of lies in what she sent me as well. So whatever they send you, it's going to be full of lies. I yield.
Well, yeah, they'll send you things that apply to quote unquote citizens and dead persons. That's what they send. So to them, they're not lying. They're just not talking to us. See, that's why they feel okay with that. Because to them, it's not a lie. If we're even speaking to them, then do we know who we are? If we're not asking the questions, like who are you? Because that's the first thing. What is your name? What name did we give you? That's called christening. See, it's a spiritual thing. That's where Christendom came from. Now, some people mispronounce it and say Christian, but that's not what we called it initially. It was Christendom. We christened and gave names. State your name. And they can't even state their name because they're not the state. You have to be the state to state something. And you have to have an estate to state something. See, when we know about the words and the root word, then we'll already know. We know that they're subjects. So we took that route. But Justice Your Highest and Empress Gloria, though that is valid strategy depending on where you are on the timeline. Some people use a different strategy. Some people use, that's valid strategy right there. Ask the questions. Ask the question. Who are you? Because see, who has the authority to tell you to appear anywhere? Nobody. Islam.
I'd like to add to
Islam
what has already been shared, and what I have done in a couple of situations that I faced. I sent a quo warranto, and in the quo warranto, I would also describe whatever the document was that they sent me, and I called that document a misrepresented instrument because they don't have authority. Then, in the same quo warranto, I also added a stare decisis law. I also added a jurisdiction and venue for them to state their jurisdiction. And I also given them 3 days to reply with that evidence. After they do not reply within 3 days of receiving the document, then of course everything is null and void. I state all of that in the document, and I get no rebuttals because there's no rebuttal. There's nothing to rebut. Also in the quo warranto, I give an allodial compensation invoice that you owe every heir. How am I saying this? Let me kind of look at what I'm saying here. That they owe every one of the Moorish family, because I'm lost for the words right now, that they owe every last one of us. And then you state what that is, and then you state also, and then that's what I do, that it must be paid in gold and silver. So they have to have all of this in order for whatever they accused or whatever document that they have sent me, in order for this to stand, then you have got to answer all of this in 3 days.
Point for point.
Exactly. So
Empress,
yes.
How long have you been awake and knowing that you're a Moor? How long have you?
Okay, so then I'm gonna back it up because I kind of judged it as well. I would say when I came initially here, that's when I realized I was a Moor, which is less than 6 months ago. What I have been doing, what's that?
Is studying.
Exactly, and that's what I was about to say. What I have been doing is I have been doing the research on Scribed, and that's why I mentioned it the last time, because there is so much information out there, none of us should be halted nowhere. Yeah. So if there's anything that we want to know, go to Scribe, go to the videos that you have already placed. And like I said, I know sometimes we get so involved and in a hurry that, a lot of times we don't want to sit 4 hours to re-listen to, Congress. So I get that, but when this is what I've noticed, that when you sit and be still, that the ancestors will answer. So if we are, let's say we get so excited about something that we kind of block the answer from coming, and we try to figure, we're getting in this panicky state, and I'll sit still. You have to make yourself sit still, wait 24 hours, and your answer will be dropped in your spirit or put in your spirit. That answer will come. So there were a couple of times that, and I want to state the last one that they did. And they did it because the thing is, no matter what they send us, yes, we are in court, but we don't go to their court. We're in our court. So that means we have to answer. You have to answer. So this last thing that they did, I sent a rebuttal, and I stated for the court that the motion is dismissed with prejudice, and no one replied or rebutted. So it's over. It's done. Islam, I yield.
Empress, it's clear that you study. It is clear. Your eyes are open. It's clear that you study. Because that process of the quo warranto and all of that's one of the first processes that we learned from our great Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey back in 2017 to deal with the things that are going. it's three things. It's a quo warranto, it's a writ, a default judgment, and and one other one. It's a quo warranto, a mandamus, and the mandamus is the default judgment, and then there's one other one, and I can't.
Is it the restitution?
Yeah. It can be any of the 13 great writs, any of them.
Okay.
And that was one of the. It can be a writ of error in the chat. Yes, it can be any of those. That's what courts do. Islam nobility.
Can I make a statement before you go to him? So the reason why I stated what I stated, and I clearly stated it, because I do realize that a lot of us in here, or at least some of us in here, really needs someone to help them. Yeah. What do I do? This is what you do. Yeah. So I'm opening my phone for anyone who wants to ask, okay, in this situation, what do you recommend? Because it's all simple. When I say simple, not that, okay, we're ignorant. That's not what I mean when I say simple. Everything is pretty much standard. So in other words, when you sit a quo warranto, and then you have another situation that arises, send another quo warranto. You already did the first one. So pull up the one you just previously did. Now change it to address the other situation. So in other words, everything is really set. Everything is really set. It's all set. And so, like I said, once you do the first one, now you got a pattern. You have a form that is set or a document that is already set. Now it's not going to take you as much time. You're just going to pull out information, replace it, and you're going to send that. And they got the answer, and then you know they're not going to. So when they don't, you already know where you stand. Yeah. You just stand. Islam.
Just one moment. Empress Shasha was going to say something. Then Justice Lineal, I believe, and then Empress Gloria. Empress Shasha.
Islam. I want to go back a little bit to the start of congressional, if that. So just leaving this for a moment. Going back to the notes, the Federal Reserve notes, and the money, our money, and everything else. Last congressional, I had mentioned that the actors had printed a polymer banknote. That's what it's called. And you had asked a question about. You had asked if anyone was on congressional in Canada or Canada territory to see if they had done the same thing there, because it's been done in the UK. And anyway, I was doing a little more research myself and discovered that the polymer banknote has been enacted in Canada, Australia, UK, and many of the islands. And so I wanted to kind of bring that to the floor to look at what, and I realize we're not really, we're not giving them credence or anything like that, but it's raising questions or maybe even bringing clarity to me, because I was doing some research with regards the Federal Reserve note and the bill, when that was created, it was attached to a particular corporation. And each time there's been a new bill formed to go along with the particular corporation, because we know that the U.S. Corporation Company has been bankrupted multiple times. Yeah. And so I looked at that, and you had asked specifically about Canada and UK, of course. Well, I noticed that Australia. And so I'm just putting it, I'm going to ask you and the Congress. What does that enactment speak to? Even as I know I'm not giving it credence, but it's speaking to something.
In a nutshell, and very quickly, Empress, I'll say this about that. They are waiting for something to come from here that and we're in the process of putting that together, because the subjects are going to start talking about it. Because see, the currency that we have introduced already, there's two of them. One is more sovereign delarium, the other is fiduciary money, and then there's the gold and the silver that backs them. So everywhere else is just waiting for here. They were waiting to see what was going to happen on November 5th. They were waiting to see what we say to our subjects about what the next process is. This Congress has already stated much of that. All of it, really. We're just putting the details in place, and they'll have those details before January 20th. They'll have them from us before January 20th, so that everybody is on the same page. They're not going to. So the polymer thing is just letting everybody know that, hey, everything is fake, because plastic money, really.
Right. Plastic. From its plastic, automatically, it's fake. I mean, it's counterfeit. We know that, but okay. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. But I came across it, and it was just okay. Well,
they're doing their enactments to basically bide time. Because they can't do anything until we say what to do. You know.
So let me ask another question. In why then, or why only certain of the actors enacted that? Is there some significance to that?
Yeah, those were British mandates, quote unquote. They were the British mandate territories, as it were, and I'll just put that in air quotes. We would have been that. That's what they were trying to do with CBDCs, quote unquote, but they can't do it because we're speaking and we're doing what we're doing. So the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to continue introducing the money system. That's the only reason it didn't happen here, is because we're speaking. And so that's to keep the from going up in arms. But see, the ones here can see. They already know what we're doing. So they're waiting on us to give the word to go ahead and start talking about it. Media and everyone, go ahead. You can talk about it now, because so we're continuing to speak to the system and activate the system as we should. And I will state that a lot of that we're doing here, and then the things that that the ancestors say, okay, this has to go before Congress. Congress has to say something about this. Then we bring it to the Congress, and then we all vote on it, and then we send the word. We've been sending. Oh, the ancestors gave us just so many keys and so much access. And so now that everyone knows we're speaking. Everyone knows we're speaking competently about the money system. Competently. Right. Not reparations.
No, I mean that's something that's still being pushed in the enactment here, even as we are speaking. It's But
so we will give reparations too, but we're gonna give them to the real blacks, not us.
But I mean, reparations are not for the Moors. that's the thing. So yeah,
because we had a choice in the matter the whole time. We had a choice in the matter the whole time, just like we do now. So all is well. We're just we're gonna keep moving forward. They're just waiting for a couple of things. You know, the system is not gonna move until we move it, and it's already moving, of course. But specifically to that particular piece, we've already spoken to the Mint. We've already spoken to the Treasury. We've already spoken to the Federal Reserve. Those parts of those are our systems. We're not speaking to people, we're speaking to the system. And then the subject just look at the system and say, okay, we see this happening in the system, we see that happening in the system, so we can talk about that. So that people won't get restless and scared. So we're just giving them more to speak about as we continue doing what we're doing. The ancestors have given us some things. I will say that I willed to share every single detail with the Congress, but it's too much. It's too much stuff. It will confuse people. It's too much. If people don't, some people, and I love this Congress, but there's one or two who don't even want to do the 40 documents. They haven't even done them yet, and they've been sitting here for 3, 4, 5 years and haven't finished them. That and to me, that's not a criticism. That's a gauge. It's a gauge. It's not a criticism. It's a gauge. It lets me know that, because see, we've been moving quickly. We know that. We know that. So we're just going to keep moving forward and staying ahead of the curve, because the curve is all our brothers and sisters. They're all coming, and they're just about ready. I can tell that. I can tell. I can feel it in the spirit. 2025 and 1445 and 5785 and 10,066. Those are all the year for this that's coming up here that we just moved into. This one is going to be a doozy in the best way possible for us.
Well,
particularly this
2025 is a 9. It's a 9-year. 9 is completion, and so here we are. Yeah.
So
yes,
that plastic enactment was just that was letting them know that there are just a few places that were British mandates, that those that were British mandates. It just means that the people in those places, the original indigenous people in those places, just have to keep speaking, because you're in alignment. We're all in alignment together. Jamaica is in alignment with what we're doing. You know,
absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
Canaan land is in alignment with what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
there's no choice. There's no choice. I mean, we are. And once we're here, we are. That they have to get in line. So
just keep watching the signs, and you'll see them. They're going to agree with everything that we've stated, and that's how it's going to move forward. That's already happening. It's already a done deal.
I mean, me personally, I have no doubts whatsoever, because I do know who we are, who I am, and what's going on. And so, but certainly, certain things certainly raise questions, and just for clarity, I bring it forth.
Yeah.
So,
we appreciate that, Empress. That's a great, because I'm sure there are others who will to know the same thing.
And another piece on there also, there is nothing on the banknotes, that's what they're called, in the enactment you know how on some it'll say this is legal tender or, you know, pay on demand and there's nothing on the paper, nothing like that at all. I mean, it was just, you know, I had to look as closely and I decided to go and have a deeper look. Yeah, nothing like that. I mean, they're not even claiming to be legal tender or anything like that on the note.
And by the time it gets to that point, everybody knows that it's over for that type of representation.
Exactly. It's
that's a transitionary piece right there.
That which was done. Well, yes, and I, you know, my personal feeling, and this is just my gut, there was an attempt to go somewhere in the midst of all of this. It was never going to be.
Yeah.
It was never going to be. That was really the piece. And I it goes back to the claims of these particular lands also, as you say, you know, back in the beginning of the enactment. So.
Yeah, it was a British mandate. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to that, and hold on.
Well, you know, this was they were trying to say that this land was a British mandate too. That's why they sent all of those quote unquote attorneys and quote unquote bar British accreditation registry persons in their enactment, but it's not that anymore.
It's not right.
It never was.
It is
really.
over.
Yeah.
It never was. It was an attempt at overlaying, as it were, and
so we're sending commands about all of that. Been sending commands about it, and then, you know, and we're going to continue to do that. We have achieved and are achieving getting all the proper commands before the end of January.
Okay.
So
it is done. It is done.
It's done.
Can you unlock?
Sure.
Please, and I'm going to come out and come back in. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Islam. Justice Yahya Bey speaking. I know we're kind of past where we was at, but I will to state something for the record.
Sure. Islam.
Me being a peace lord, I just want to state this as peaceful, a natural, autochthonous. Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, kindly, because sometimes I cannot speak all the words properly, but indigenous peoples apparent to the Al-Moroccan Empire at Maghreb al-Aqsa, Northwest Amexem, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate, and all adjoining islands, desiring to avoid conflict and to live lawfully with all of our freedoms. We, the Moors of the Al-Moroccan imperial nation of Amexem, heirs and descendants of the ancient ancestors of Mu, are providing you with this statement. Notice of liability regarding violating our natural rights, allodial cost compensation and fee scheduled for remedy and for personal protection from federal, state, county, city, municipal, corporation, employees, individuals, human beings, as a courtesy to you and as a remedy should you decide to violate our natural and unalienable rights. With that, I yield.
Islam, and there, we don't even offer the option to violate. We just and I'll say this, Morris, just keep doing what you're doing, and that whole appearance of violation will go away. It will. Islam. There was someone else.
Are you still lying to everyone tonight?
Who had something to say.
You big liar.
Someone else. Oh, go ahead, Empress Gloria. Just a moment. Go ahead.
Yeah,
everyone.
I was referring to those cases.
Pauline, are you still lying to everybody tonight? Are you still talking Negroes? Are you still?
They sound like they're underwater. Lost at sea. Go ahead, Empress.
Like Noble Willie had said from the Valahar video, they were shut down. My case is that. So I went and I stood, but I didn't go on the other side of the bench. That's the felony or whatever they gave, right? So
can you start from the beginning, because I missed a couple of the things that you stated.
That they, with this case, I was flying my flag demonstration for something that happened I won't go to that part. But anyway, they put a misdemeanor and they put the felony, and then they did some magic and they switched the like to appear in the felony part, and they switched it back to the misdemeanor, and they even went so far as had a jury. The jury did not do anything. I showed where I had contacted the subject in the office of Donald Trump, and I had that green card with me because everything else they were objecting to. Well, apparently, even the jury didn't fall for that, as well as I had been attacked by the police here in Mesquite. And they almost killed me, by the way. And I had proof with the picture. I had my daughter to take a picture. And that was, it was horrible. And that was shown.
I'm sure.
And, but they kept objecting. And then when I showed the green return slip from the subject of the president, I guess Joe Biden, the actor, and of course Donald Trump before that, and they came back and they said they were dismissing the case. But now I am having to deal with the district court. I went, I stood behind that bench. I didn't go past it. I didn't have an attorney, and I didn't accept one. But they walked away, and they left the case blank. That was in 2021. That's what I'm dealing with now, and now I know what to do. As I told you another time, I had to go back and study because some stuff I had forgotten. You know, like the final judgment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna write this coming week and send it in.
Thank you for that, Empress. Listen, what Empress Gloria just described about first dealing with being, violated, and I'm going to put that in air quotes, being violated and things like that, but then looking beyond that and looking at the process. And when she began to use the right process, she saw results. You see, we can get mad all day long, but that is not going to change anything. We must know the processes and how to speak to the system so that actors who were acting as if they were the system won't have any paperwork that says go do this and go do that. Only we can seat them, which we have done. Only we can do that. So, just one moment. I want to be able to hear you. Just one moment. Okay. Go ahead, Empress. I was reading something in the inbox, but go ahead, Empress.
Okay.
No. There was a Empress Lineal L. I believe.
Yes, Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Supreme abundance rising to all the Moors worldwide. But I wanted to just make a comment.
Sure.
Going back to the earlier part of Congress when you spoke about courts and spirituality, and this scripture, it just always comes to me and has stayed with me, especially ever since I started listening to the Congress and becoming a part of it. And this Joshua, the first chapter, verse 8, where it talks about, where it states, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but, and this is from the King James Version, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. And then verse 9 just goes on to say, have I not commanded you to be strong in all of these things? But I wanted to also say how much I appreciate you so much, Empress Light, and all of the Congress members, especially when you talked about not fighting with our kinfolks over our estates and heirlooms and things like that, because every Moor that I know, whether awake or asleep, all know that we have estates. My grand matriarch's estate is in Mississippi. And, you know, we have cousins that are there. Some of them are still working the land. And so I appreciate that you said that we should not fight with them, because that is very, very important. We need to absolutely lead with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and be the example and the light that they need to see. And so I think that was all I had to say, was about I was really touched by when you stated about us not fighting with them over our estate and heirlooms and things, and that our kin folks, our estate, that's our family estate. Yeah. And there are several in our family. But like I said, this is one thing that kind of, you know, helped me to wake up, I guess, was that everyone I know, every Moor that I know, whether they're awake or asleep, just like when I was still asleep, I knew that my grand matriarch and father and other family estate is in Mississippi, different parts of Mississippi. So I yield. Islam.
You know, Empress, I have kin in Mississippi and stuff too, and Alabama territory and Georgia and everywhere. So, you know, the ancestors are not going to allow us to fight with one another. They're not going to allow it. The ancestors would rather have us recycle and come back later if that's what we're going to do. And we're not doing that. We're not doing it. So we love each other too much for that. I love the Ritchie Moors and you know, because that's the Richies and the Nixons and the Moors and you know, I'm not gonna. Why would we fight when everything is already ours? And that's the thing about when some say, you know, when you hear those little fake voices come in and say, you don't have a Range Rover yet, blah blah blah. We're not worried about that. All of the Range Rovers belong to us. We know that. It's just a matter of process. It's all good. That's why we're not worried. And we get everywhere. We hop on the plane when we get ready. We go down the way when we get ready. So we're not worried at all. Our ancestors know what they're doing. Islam. This Congress, we were going to do a restatement of a document really quickly. I will to bring just one or two things to your remembrance from our previous Congress. Justice Willie mentioned the term nisi prius. He said that when he went into the fake court and asked them, what kind of court is this? Somebody in there said nisi prius. And I thought that's the perfect opportunity for me to tell him and others what that really means. Nisi prius means it's original jurisdiction unless before. So in reality, it's almost backwards. Nisi means unless, and prius means before. So what they were telling him and others that they've stated that to is that it's going to be a clown court unless the ancients are here. Unless those who came before begin to do court actions. That's what nisi prius is. It means original jurisdiction, or the Latin phrase, unless before. So it's all courts are original jurisdiction, okay, when we're doing the court action, okay? So a lot of times they pretend unless the original court that has original jurisdiction over all speaks. We had that same experience when we did our 10-day court jail demonstration, where we were doing court actions every day from right where we stood, the cell. We did our court actions, and at the very what could have been called the same time, but it was really not the same time because they're not on the same time. So they're not even on a real calendar. They were holding fake court about their dead corpse, Pauline Ritchie. They didn't even try to come get us because they already know we were wide awake and very well alive and living. So they didn't even try and come get. They didn't even come and say, hey, you got court on this day or that day. We were busy being the court. So they held their clown thing, whatever they held, and we were out of there. So nisi prius, that means, and see, here's the thing. The opposite of nisi prius is absolute rule. That's the opposite of it. So if you go to a fake court, then you're not saying I have absolute rule. So what they are saying is, because they're good subjects, they're going to tell you the truth. What they say is, well, this is a clown court unless original jurisdiction shows up here. Unless the living show up. And when the living show up, then we have to stand back and sit down and be quiet. And because the Moors have absolute rule, period. They act unless the originals speak or appear. And here's the thing, each one of us has the right to decide whether we will even allow nisi prius or absolute rule. See, we don't allow nisi prius. We do not do that because we're always the court, always, always, always. We're never not the court. Okay, we're out at the grocery store. We're still the court. We're, going for a jog in the morning. We're still the court. We're going looking in the window shopping or whatever. We're still the court. Walking down the way, still the court. And so that's a really important term right there. And that term came about during the times, it says before the Magna Carta, all disputes in England must be tried where the dispute arose. That has to do with location, just like what the Empress was stating about the court. Okay, so location is everything. Nisi prius means unless this court is put on the land, it's going to be lost at sea court. And we put the courts on the land by being the court. Everywhere we go, we're on the land. We're never lost at sea. And then we saw something about detraction in Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. What is the opposite of contracting? It is detracting. That's the opposite of contracting. Detracting is the removal of property from one state to another upon a transfer of the title to it by will or inheritance. And let me say this, will and inheritance are one with us. So property and contracts are not the same, and that's why all the property at a certain time, all the fake paperwork had to be moved off of the property, and the property then has our documentation covering it. So really quickly, we will restate a form. Is there anyone who has a form that they will to see that form restated? Or I can pick one really quickly, and we're going to make this very, very simple. What about here's what we'll do. We'll say bank application. And this will be our final presentment for this Congress. Let's see if we can find something here. They probably, because it'll be, it said the chances of us finding a form is going to be slim to none, actually.
Empress, I can't hear you. Empress, your sound went out.
Her microphone is muted.
Your mic is off, Empress.
Can you hear me now, Nobility? Can you all hear me? Okay.
Islam.
Okay, I had to go to my other computer because one of them, it went off. As soon as it saw a bank application, it was like, like. Okay. So, maybe we'll use a form, internal revenue form. Let's use the 1099. That's not what I will to do. Let's see. And can you all see my screen with the 1099, this internal revenue 1099 here on the screen?
Yes, we see it as well.
Thank you. Okay. So really quickly, we were going to show how to, just one moment, how to do a 1099, how to restate something. So the way that we restate things is that we take whatever it is, and first we look at the title of it. What is the title of this form? It says 1099 miscellaneous information, so we're going to give it a better title than that because that's not a good title. Okay, so what we do is erase this title of miscellaneous information, and we'll say that this form is we'll call it in red, an information affidavit. So does everyone see how that works, about how quickly we can change something and make it be something else real quickly? Just one moment. And then it will say something about a payer's name, street address, city or town, or whatever the case may be. For those who know how to restate things, what else would you change based on the language that we use?
There are 40 participants in the conference. The recording has started.
Islam.
Abbreviations, any abbreviations that might be on there.
Yes. Indeed. I think I'm going to pull this up over here. Just one moment. Okay. So we use we use a post office code instead of a zip code. Okay. So we would change this change over here. We would say we would change it to let's say trustor address, city, state, and post office code. Okay. And then we will put that information in there. And then again, here they have payers 10. Well, we're not going to say a 10 because that's not really a word. It doesn't tell us what's really there. So what we would do is just remove that. And whoever it is that we're giving this to, so they wouldn't even be the trustor. They would be, let's say, they could be the payer. But our payers, whoever is going to pay us, they're not going to have a zip code either. They're going to have a post office code. So we can say payer, or we can say debtor. And it would actually be debtor with an E. And then we would say debtor's tax identification number. And with this, you can make the letters smaller. And then here, it will be receiver's tax identification number. So we would spell everything out. Okay. So are we clear on and I could go through the rest of this, but I'm not going to go through the rest of it right now because that is some work that whoever is using this form can do. Are there any questions about how the simplicity of restating a form? In other words, just make the form be in the right jurisdiction. And we know jurisdiction has everything to do with who is it and where are they. anyone who's going to be paying anything to us, they're going to be on the land. We're not receiving any money from somebody that's lost at sea, because that's not real money out there. And we're not lost at sea. Are there any questions about that? From any of the Islam?
Quick question. Does it matter if it's typed in red or blue?
It does matter. If the form is a red form, then you want your affidavit to be red. Because red it means there's a creditor who's sending this. Interestingly enough, and I'm glad you asked that question, interestingly enough, this top one is in red, but then the one that's going to be given to the debtor is in blue, or whoever it is that's paying. Oh, they even put it in black. So I would put that in blue. I would put the letters in blue. You see? See, they know the system will know the colors. They will know which form it is and whose copy it is that's coming in by the color of it. The creditor speaks in red. And see, this copy, miscellaneous, this one is for the recipient, or the one who either the one who owes or the one who owes. But the one who's collecting the money, because see, we're the ones collecting the money, so we're filling this out. And as you know, with a 1099-A or a 1099, you give it to the debtor and say, here, make sure you file this to the Internal Revenue, so that they know, and we would send it to the Internal Revenue ourselves. Because see, this one is for the Internal Revenue, and usually, again, what we would do is remove the word service and center. Is for the Internal Revenue, not the Internal Revenue Service. And the difference being is the address. The Internal Revenue does not have a zip code on their address. They may have a post office code or no code. But we don't use zip codes at all. For anything that we do, we don't use zip codes. It's called a post office code. That's what it was initially. And what they did was gave it a different name using the same number scheme, and then put it in a fake trust, a debtor's trust. That's what they did with zip codes. So we say, no, it's a post office code. They look the same, but it's a post office code. And that goes for everything on this form. So when you restate a form, it's no longer a form. It then becomes an affidavit. So always, always put at the top of your restatements that this is an affidavit, or this is a proclamation, or this is a declaration, this is a writ, or something lawful and legal. Because forms are not even legal. I know people think they are, but they're not. A form means that anybody coming by can pull that and use it, because it's a form. Are we clear on that, Congress?
Islam
nobility.
Is it possible you could leave a copy of these documents at the end of the video so we could have access to it?
I'm actually not going to go any further with this one at this time, because we're going to be doing other documents as well at another time. But I've only made 2 changes to this, 5 changes to this document. All I did was change up here. I put debtor instead of payer and put post office code instead of zip. I changed it to an information affidavit. I put debtor tax. I spelled out, they put 10. I just spelled out tax identification number because we don't use abbreviations. And then I took out the words service center and just put internal revenue. And we could put internal revenue office. But a 1099, you can Google that and then start making these changes yourself.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So I could Google it and get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any of the forms that we restate and elevate it to the level of an affidavit, you can find it out there on the internet and then elevate it. And here's the thing, Moors, and this is the beauty of all that we do. There's no benefit that we cannot restate like this. Any benefit that you will to have, you can have that benefit as is due. Just restate the way that you get that benefit. Use your documentation, use your identification, use your own stuff to get what's really yours, rightfully yours.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Gratitude, Empress.
Islam.
There's
nothing we can't have, nothing we can't do, nothing that's not. Our estate is our estate. We're wealthy beyond even anyone could even imagine. But we must use the system because that keeps order. We do everything by systems. We created the worlds by systems. We create our heirs in our wombs by systems. They have a circulatory system and a nervous system and not a nervous system, but a nerve system and a digestive system. Everything that the matriarchs created and the sons created is systemic. It's by system. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom from this great Congress? Islam. If there be nothing further from this Congress, we will adjourn at this time, and we will go into further restatement of things. If there's any particular document that you all will to see us restate, we won't restate the whole thing because we know that you're fully capable of doing that yourselves. But we will get it started for you.
Islam Empress.
Just let us know. Islam nobility.
I have a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you move a subject, right, from office after you have resigned them, and they still don't want to leave office? They still intend to remain there and do business. You have lien, levy, and bonded. You have also did the command to appear, command to arrest. You have did the resignation and all the process, the due process. And they're still in office and they still don't want to leave office. How do you?
That means that there's something in your understanding about what they're actually doing that needs clarity. So let me give you an example of that. If I say, okay, I will to remove someone that's acting as a mayor, quote unquote. Well, I have to know that after I've done all of those things that you stated, the lien, levy, bond, and all of that,
yes,
that he's already moved from being a pretend mayor now to being a subject. So the way that you will know that he moved is you give a command and see what they do with that command. And a lot of times they're obeying commands and we don't realize that's what they're doing. So if If he is your focus instead of the process, then there will be some confusion about what he's really doing there. Okay. If you just don't like him, then the focus has to shift from you not liking him to what is he doing there? Is he being subject there, or is he pretending to be a magistrate or an actor?
Okay. It's not anything personal. It's because I've seen a lot of these actors, according to what I've read so far and I've been researching and studying, a lot of them has been reside by Moors. And when I look, I still see them in office, still doing business. And I'm wondering how these people, you know, you did a resignation on them and the full due process, and they're still there in office. You know, what would be the next step?
You though.
Huh?
Are they in office for you? In other words, are they trying to get you to do something?
No, it isn't anything personal. It has anything to do with me in particular. But in general, you know, it's what I see. So I want a full stand about that. So when I do get to that level, because I do plan to do some things, and it's going to get to that level where, you know, I have to deal with that. So I want to make sure that I know that whenever I get to that level, you know, what I could do or what I should do as a Moor legally to deal with the situation.
Okay. So the people that are there, because there are sleeping Moors who still go looking for them to do something for them, that's what they do. Okay, so for example, I've removed, quote unquote, those that were acting as judges and things like that, and a lot of times they will just resign and quit. But if there is Moors that are asleep, that are constantly asking for them, and I need to see the judge, I need to see the judge because they did this and it's not right, it's not right, it's not right, then they're going to stay there long enough to teach them how to govern. Because remember, the prophet said, we're going to leave them here long enough to teach you how to govern. When we get it in our psyche, in our minds, in our knower, that they're not the judge, then it's going to be our turn to get everybody around them to know that that's not who you should be going to. Now, the way to do that is to free yourself and keep doing what you're doing, moving up and rising. That's for sure. But there are some sleeping Moors whose will, we're not going to go past their will. They keep trying to go and authenticate a birth certificate from somebody that they think is a Secretary of State. Well, that actor that was acting as Secretary of State knows that they can't touch Pauline Ritchie over here. They know not to touch Justice Anthony. They know not to touch these empresses and this remnant here. They know not to bother them. But there's some sleeping Moors who still don't know that that's not the government. They have to. That's why we have to keep rising, because we're staying ahead of that curve. Because see, Justice, once that one steps out of the way, there's going to be people looking for the real one, and that's what the transition is. Is you know that's not a real one, and they know not to mess with you because you've already done all of that. They're moved out of office already for you, and you're the government, so you're the one who counts. So now you have to continue moving folks out of the way and doing all of this. That way, even the sleeping Moors that come, they're not going to get any remedy from them. And after a while, what you've done by taking away their authority to do anything, what you've done is made it so that the rest of them will wake up. See, that's really why we're here. Our job is to stop their movement and make it so that even if they're sitting there, they're just going to be telling people, well, there's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing we, and then the people will be like, what the hell are they doing here? And then they'll start searching and looking. And that's when that searching and that energy will bring the awakening information to them. But in the meantime, it'll be for you. It will be for you as you have so stated. 1,000 will fall by your right hand, and another 1,000 and 10,000 by your side, but it will not come near your house. It will not come near you. That is what you will see. See, that's what saving yourself first is all about. We can save ourselves and then assist everybody else in waking up by dismantling that system. And that's the term that our great sheik uses, is dismantling. When we do the lien, levy, and bond, we stop the fiat from flowing. And when we stop the fiat from flowing, they're going to stop acting.
Yes, indeed.
So that's what you've done, is you've stopped the fiat from flowing, and that's what makes them clench their hands together and say, oh, well, we can't do anything about that. And in the back of their mind, they're thinking, we don't have a budget for it. Justice Anthony leaned us. So we literally have to, and see, some of them are not going to just abandon the office and close the door and shut it and put a sign that says close, because that will cause the people to get a little up in. Sometimes the people will be like, well, what happened to all the judges? You know, that kind of thing. And the sleeping Moors, by the time that happens, they're already going to know where the judges are, because we're here, we're right here. We're standing, all of us. What you've done is make it so that everyone at the territory is going to know that something is off with those that they thought were government. It's just like listen, D.C. is a prime example of that, and I'm so glad you asked that question. Because when people look and see buildings boarded up in D.C., and they see nobody there, and they see scaffolding up, and they're trying to, they just cleaning up buildings and fixing things up, but there's nobody in them, then they're like, okay, something is wrong here. Who's governing? And that's going to cause them to start looking and searching, and there's something spiritual about looking and searching that causes the answers to come. And that's what this next 12 months, this next 12 to 13 months is going to be about. Whoever that is out of office for you. And now he's doing subject status things. What does subject status look like? Subject status it'll look at the computer, or it'll look at the fax machine or the copier, and it may give people what the copier or the fax machine or the computer says, but they're not going to be changing anything. They're not going to be none of that. They're not going to be doing anything wild and outrageous and out there. They're not going to be doing all that stuff they used to do, where they jump up with the gun and the badge and they go and do a whole bunch of craziness because they got extra money in the budget. None of that.
Indeed, truly.
This is a huge estate that we have, and so it is a process. It's a process. But just know that you have saved yourself, that your door won't be kicked in by that one, by those ones that were acting as that. They won't bother you. And you'll just continue to do what you've been doing. More liens, more levies, more bonds. And then the ancestors are going to show you some things that we've not put on the record, on this record yet. Our nation is far ahead of the processes that we've even put on the record. Far ahead, and it's a lot higher in terms of authority. And you'll be shown that too. At some point, maybe we will, when the Spirit says do it, we'll do it. We will do it when the Spirit says do it. But I will state this, that there are authorities that were doing things in their enactment in collusion with the U.S. And we know what their enactment was too. So we're now we're moved to that, to notifying everyone by means of the proper process that you don't work for the U.S. anymore, you work for us. Because, see, we've stated that before, but there is actually a process that we use in order to make that known directly to each one of them. And that's the heads, the subjects that were acting as heads of things. We already did it for the corporations. That was easy. But now we're doing it for everyone else. The ones that were even above the corporations, not the CEOs, not the boards or anything like those were acting as boards. We're talking now Crown, Vatican, that kind of thing. We're speaking from those offices now to tell everyone what their paycheck is going to look like and all of that, everything. So, and what their tax structure is, we're telling them that, and that is how you know. And that's why we're stating what we're stating about our subjects being in alignment, because they're getting the memo and we see. And many of you are affirming that, oh, he said, the subject is acting as this one said this and that. That's right in alignment. He's just doing what we said do. So just keep doing what you're doing, nobility, and then the ancestors will give you each step as you continue to successfully demonstrate what you're doing. Now remember, Justice Anthony.
Yes.
That 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we wouldn't have dreamed of sending out the commands that we send out now on a regular basis.
Didn't even think it exists.
And no one's kicked the door in. Nobody is trying to, do anything crazy. If anything, they got bullets flying at the other ones and not us. That's how you know that what we're doing is absolutely what we should be doing. And we're not sending bullets to anybody.
Yes.
Not like that. No. We're not at war. So just keep doing what you're doing. Know that they know who you are already.
Yes.
And the next levels for you will come as you continue doing what you know to do. That's all our ancestors ask that we do is do what we know to do, and they'll give us the rest.
Truly. And with that, Empress, I know we're almost at conclusion for this Congress.
Yes.
Last week you stated that we would have touched on some things about the levies and the bonds, but
yeah,
like I said, we're almost about to conclude. So maybe next week, if it's possible, that the Spirit would lead us. We could speak on the lien and levies and bonds next week. Is it possible?
Yes, we can do that. We stated that we were going to restate some things and just emphasize the restatement process as well, which is what we just did in a nutshell. Right. Just know that the Spirit will lead you as you start doing it. Our right. Spirit speaks to us while we're in movement and in action.
Right.
So we'll do some of that over the next few weeks. We'll be doing restatements of liens, levies, and bonds, just to show you how to do it. Right. We have time, and we'll do it definitely.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, just a few more questions. When you already have a bank account, right? How do you obtain the legacy account with that same bank? Is it the same form that I've seen you use through the United Services Automobile Association Federal Savings Bank? I've seen you did a demonstration with that. Is it the same process?
It's the same process, but the form for that, for you to restate,
right?
Or you can send an affidavit on bank letterhead that states that this is a legacy account, because you're speaking to the system.
Okay. And that's with the same bank that you have already opened an account with?
Yes.
Okay. And being that I'm residing here in Jamaica, ex-Mecca, can I still go ahead and open an account with the United Services Automobile Association Federal Bank?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes, I want to make sure, because I already have 4 accounts here. So I'm thinking of, because it's a different country. It's a different country, and the process is different. And here in Jamaica, for example, 2 of the 5 banks that I've been to, they don't want to give up the TRN, because when I did a research, the research tells me that the banks in US, they uses the EIN, and the banks here, they uses TRN, they tax registration number, instead of an EIN number. But they refuse to give it up. So one of my questions is, I was also speaking to another more.
Give me the name of one of the banks that won't give up a TRN.
2 of them in particular. One is Jamaica National, or the Jamaica National Group, and the next one is the Victoria Mutual Building Society.
Jamaica National Group?
Yes. AKA JN Bank. J as in Jamaica and N as in National Group. They call it the JN Group, or Jamaica National Bank.
So they probably don't want to give it to you because that's not a real bank. They're a group, just like they're stating that they're a group.
Okay.
They're a group. So just a moment. Let me just take a look here. Jamaica 10. Let me just take a quick look. Issues of the 10. It says here a 10 instead of a, okay, there it is, taxpayer registration number.
Yeah, TRN, that's what they call it down here.
Assigned to each individual business enterprise organization who conducts or wish to conduct business with Taj. Business with Taj refers to all tax or fee related transactions, including registration. Okay.
Can you put that on the screen, Empress?
Yes, just one moment. Let me share my screen. Just a moment.
Yeah, it's gone.
Thank you, Nobility. I'm so glad y'all keep me straight. Okay. It says any further information regarding TINs that jurisdictions deem useful for publication, CRS portal may also add to this narrative. Manage TINs to all residents for tax purposes.
Islam Empress.
So, Islam.
Can you open the call for Justice Nate, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Nobility.
Yes, Empress.
I see here that just one moment. Just a moment. I see here that some jurisdictions don't automatically issue a 10. What would you use the 10 for? The TRN? What would you use that for?
The TRN number, I needed that number to place it on the levy that I'm lien, levy, and bonding.
Okay. And who holds those TRNs? Is what's the name of the agency that holds those TRNs?
The tax office, or the tax administration office here in Jamaica.
Okay, so most of them have a TRN lookup. How to search TRN number in Jamaica. Go to the nearest Taj office with valid. That's not going to do. Okay, Jamaica. Look at any previous documents or communications from the tax administration. Visit the Taj office. Contact TAJ. So, nobility.
Yes, Empress.
It looks like if you call TAJ, have you tried calling and, of course, just ask for the name, what their name is, and then state that you will to get the TRN, the tax registration number for whomever it is?
Right, right.
Have you tried that, nobility?
No, not yet, Empress.
Okay. That is what it is saying here. And again,
TAJ, you mentioned TAJ?
Mm-hmm.
That's what?
Tax Administration Jamaica.
Pauline is so fucking full of shit. She's a liar. Liar. Pauline's a liar.
I would call them and mind your court action language.
Yes.
And just state that you will to have the TRN, the taxpayer registration number for whoever it is.
Right.
Okay.
And I have also asked a friend of mine. He's a police officer. Mm-hmm. Some questions about it, and he said that you will look into the matter about how doing it, because I went into the bank personally. They refused to give it to me. They didn't even want me to talk to the manager. The manager didn't even want to talk to me. They didn't even want to give me the manager's name, nothing like that. So when I spoke to my friend who was the officer, he said that he's going to look into it. Then the next day he told me that he did look into it, and what he found out is that for you to get that, you have to have a court order. That's what he was telling me. That's what they told him the process was.
So there are some things that I'm hearing in what you're stating, and I will to make them to state them for you. Number one.
Yes.
I know he's your friend.
Yes.
But he's not a real police officer, and that I could have told you what he was going to say to you before you said what he said. I could have told you what his response was going to be, because they have a script that they go by. Okay. Right. Their script is always going to point you back to, well, now it's going to point you back to you. He said you have to have a court order because you're the court. That's the answer.
I was thinking about that.
The subjects are going to give you the answer to how to accomplish what it is you will to accomplish. You just have to listen to them. So when you send a court action, and then also send, this is the way I would do it. I would send I would use the Tax Ministry for Jamaica logo. Tax Ministry for Jamaica, not the Tax Administration Jamaica, not the TAJ.
Right.
But the Tax Ministry for Jamaica, and I would give them a form saying, what is your name? What is the tax registration number for this particular business? And then sign it.
And send it to me.
Yeah, and just send it, and then or take it to them and hand it to them and have them to make it public.
Right.
See, when you issue the command to make it public and you give it a day or two, you'll be able to go online and find it.
Because I did also tell him. I did tell him when I went into the bank. I said, "Why are you refusing, to give it to me when it's public information?"
Well, because you called them the bank, and you're giving them titles, nobility, and that's what I'm hearing in your language. You're saying the manager said this, and the bank said that, and the officer said this. And when you give them titles, they're not obligated to give you anything.
Right. True indeed. I was only stating to you so you could have a full standing of the situation.
If you can state it by saying subject in the office of, and we will get it. We will get it.
Okay. Correction. Okay. Thank you.
And then get used to speaking that way, even when you're speaking with them, because when I'm going out at the territory and I'm saying, can you get the subject in the office of manager to come? They just think that English is my second language. So they don't really pay much attention and try and correct what I'm saying, which is a plus for me.
That makes a lot of sense.
They don't know where you're from, but they kind of do. So we use our language to speak to them, and then I'll say something like, I will to see the subject in the office of manager. And that way, they're always thinking, oh, she got on a turban, she must be from Africa or something.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, I am from Africa. You're standing on it. Here, you're sitting on Africa. So don't give them titles, and they'll give you whatever information is necessary. Or, and this has happened to me a couple of times too, where I would be speaking to them about something, and then the ancestors would say, go try this, or go look this up on your computer. Let them off the hook and go look it up. Look this up. They'll give me the specific terminology to find it. Because all of that stuff is on the record. It's on the internet. Okay? You just have to put you can even do a Freedom for Information law. You can send that or quote that at the bottom of your affidavit for, stating what is your tax registration number.
Right.
You can quote that at the bottom as well. And it will pop up on the internet. The systems know.
Okay.
See, a lot of that information too, and this is my final word on that. A lot of that information, the people weren't using the information anyway, so they didn't even bother to make it public because the people didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
But now you do. You're competent now, so the system will open it up. All it takes is for a sovereign to ask or give the command. Islam.
One more thing. On the ID, the Moorish ID, where I have my date of birth, which is the correct way? We do the date first or the month first?
We would do it year first, and then the month, and then the day.
The year, then the month, then the day. Okay.
Yes.
And on the back of the ID also, to all the Moors that haven't created it yet, I saw something on the back. It says United States of America. I have corrected mine to United States for America. Yeah. If I'm correct, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not even interested.
Yes, Islam.
Gratitude for all that information. No love on
Justice. We appreciate your governing abilities and your competence at governing there.
Most welcome also.
And Empress Shasha has some help there. So it's
amazing. Yes. Empress Shasha. Oh boy, there is no words to speak to describe that Empress.
Yeah.
I love and respect. Yes. Love and respect for the Empress. And also love and respect for Empress Anagel. I've learned a lot. Yes, I've learned a lot from those two empresses, and I love them and respect them to the very ground they walk upon.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Justice Anthony.
And you too, Empress. You too, Empress. Right?
Indeed.
Okay, I hear.
Indeed.
Islam.
Islam. Any other questions, comments? Islam, Justice Rahman.
Hello, Empress Light and fellow Congress. I was just curious about the EIN number. I wanted to open a bank account in my free chosen appellation. Didn't know which, should I just create a number or just file for another number?
Our suggestion, if you don't have one, would be to ensure that you have liened and levied and bonded the Social Security number, and then use that sequence of numbers, because it won't be the same number because it's not going to have dashes, and then restate the application for the account, restate that and make it an affidavit instead of an application, and then do it that way. That is our.
I already definitely got my 40 documents on the record, and I already liened the sovereign number, but I'm using that for my birth chosen appellation. I also wanted to open an account in my free chosen appellation, and I didn't know if it was going to be a conflict of interest having both appellations with only one sovereign number that they both corresponding with.
The system can handle it, I know that, because see, think about this. In the previous era, and this is how we know the system has room for that, in the previous era, companies used one number and there would be 50 names for that one number on that, or 3 or 4 people who had access to the account. It would be the CEO, the secretary, and the CFO. And they would add those 3 names to the account with just one number. So if you will to do it that way, then it can be done. If you will to have a separate number for each, then you can always assign a separate number to that, to your appellation. You know, if you choose to do that, you can.
Okay. Okay, thank you, yes. Islam.
The way that we have chosen to do that really quickly is we're not opening anything in our free national name, our free national appellation. Like Tajiri Bay, we're not opening any accounts or anything like that, because that is a sovereign, holy appellation that doesn't have a need to be in the system. Okay, and it will be our system anyway. We do everything in the name or the person that is Pauline Ritchie. That's for system things, because the system it's already an established fact and law that Pauline Ritchie is the estate. So, like Tajiri Bay is for higher things, like anything higher, like when we're together. It's a holy appellation, and your appellations are holy too. So we just use Pauline Ritchie for everything else. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom from this Congress?
Islam.
I'd
like to go back to the question about stating an affidavit on the bank letterhead at the point of opening an account. So when we open an account, are we? And I just need your insight on this. So is it necessary, or should we send Delarium in with that, or are we using, and does it matter if we're using the sovereign credit instrument, the 666 trill? trillion?
It's completely up to you.
Okay.
So whichever one of those you're competent to demonstrate, then do it.
Okay.
You all, we showed where we were using Delarium for our account. We showed that. We chose that because it's gold receipts for our United Services Automobile Association account. We could have used the 666 trillion, but we chose not to because even what we put in there is part of the 666 trillion. Anything that we're moving around is automatically part of that. That's 666 trillion. So, yeah. So with that being stated, I have nothing further for this particular day of Congress. We will meet again on Sunday at 6. We are considering moving things to Thursday. Even if it just be for the winter months, or we're considering moving things to Thursday, or either adding a Thursday to what we're currently doing, but we don't want to overtax and overdo because there's so much information already out there. But that is a consideration that we're making just because Sunday typically used to be the day for it's Sun's Day. It's typically the Christians would use that day, this day. And it doesn't matter. We can use whatever day we will because they are all our days. But we're just considering making improvements to Congress. Empress Chris, we did receive your inbox about the meetings, and we are considering the best way to do that. Islam. If there be nothing further, we will meet again on Sunday at 6 p.m. Peace. Oh, really quickly, are we? I'll just put it out there this way. If there's anyone who wills to do the 40-day fast that we normally do around this time, we do a 40-day fast where we fast from land animals for 40 days, starting December 21st all the way to January 31st, where we eat whatever we will to eat, except we don't eat any land animals. And we did that 2 years in a row. We did we've been fasting the whole 6 or 7 years that we've been doing this. If anyone wills to do that fast, just let's talk about it the next Congress, and then we'll do a restatement the next Congress as well. It's not a necessity for us to do that fast because I know the Spirit is dealing with each and every one of us on being better in terms of food and nutrition and things of that nature. So with that being stated, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam. Thank you.
Islam, Empress, love and respect.
Peace and grand rising. Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
My erudition.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Many in body, one in mind. Islam.
Yes. Islam.